Thank you. Last one.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for coming here today, Malala and Mr. Yousafzai. I guess I'll start off the interview from a question from myself. I mean, Malala, we see you all over the world, in the US, in France, in Belgium. I mean, I myself am struggling to juggle just between studying and sleeping. I mean, how do you juggle your work you do with that, with your school life? I mean, does it compromise that at all?
I agree with you, because it is very hard to keep it in balance, because when I'm talking about education, it's about those children who are deprived of education, and these children are in India, these children are in Pakistan, and some of these children are suffering from child labor, from child trafficking, and some of them are suffering and they cannot go to school because of terrorism and also because of the cultural norms and traditions. So when I think of those children, and when I have the feeling in my heart that these children need us, these children want us to raise our voice for them. So then I think, okay, it's fine if I don't sleep on time, or it's fine if I don't watch that TV channel, or if I miss watching cricket on TV. So then I think that yes, I'm doing it for a good purpose and for a good reason.
Okay.
Yeah, and Malala, I wanted to ask you about your experience of moving to the UK. Obviously, you moved in such extraordinary circumstances. How do you compare your life in the UK and your life in the Swat Valley, and what have your experiences been of living somewhere so different?
It's really hard to forget the beauty of Swat, because Swat was a paradise on earth, and I can never forget those tall mountains and those lush green hills and trees. And I miss mountains, because I can't see a mountain here at all. I can't even see hills. Whenever I see a hill, I say it's a small hill. So yes, I'm missing the beauty, those rivers, and the love of people, and I miss everything there, especially my school and my friends. But when I came here, I saw something new here as well. It's true that this society is different from our society, and many things have been changed in my life. But I meet new people and I see new things, and it is a good experience that you learn about different societies. And also, I'm really happy to be in Oxford, and it's a great honor for me that I'm speaking here, and I'm here with such honorable and great people, and because everyone wishes to come here and be in Oxford, and it is my wish too.
Okay, let me bring in Mr. Yousafzai also into the discussion. So as a parent, Yousafzai Saab, once when we read this book, it is as much that it is a story of Malala, it is also a story of a family. And I think that when you read the book, you realize, you know, the incredible bond that you share within the family, and also the separation and the reunion and everything. So as a parent, how do you think that this family bond, this family values, what role has this played in developing a child like Malala and encouraging her to become what she is?
Thank you very much. Thank you all. I think that family is the basic unit of society, and it's the root of culture. And this family, small family, my wife is there and my two sons are also there. We are a small family of 5 people. And this family, it was a small family with very little resources. We lived in a small house that was not my own. But living in that small, rented, poor house, we had very rich values. We were poor in economy, but rich in values. How? For example, this was the value of our family, that there was a great love within the members of the family. I love my wife, she loves me, I love my sons, they love me. And that was why,
Should we ask them?
that was the reason, that we were, inside the house, we were very strong. And had we been busy and quarreling with each other, Malala won't have been so strong. So a strong family can bring up strong children, strong individuals. Number one. Number two, we had equality in our family. I do remember, it is in the book, that when my cousin, he brought me the family tree, and he told me that this is our family tree, and I saw the family tree, and there were the names of the grandfathers, great-grandfathers, grandsons, great-grandsons, and I had, at that time, I had only one child, and she was my daughter. And I looked at the tree, and then I thought that there is no one after me. I just took a pen and draw a line and wrote Malala Yousafzai. And he was astonished and surprised because he was a Pashtun like me, because it was not in culture. He was a kind of satirical laughter was there on his face. But I wrote her name. So that house, that family believed in equality. Then we believed in harmony. We had very good, we were very good in our relation with the Christian community. And Christian people come to our home on Eids. And we used to go to their home during the Christmas days. And when the church was in the, as the church was near the army garrison, and it was, it was occupied by the army, and when I tried to make it free from them, they were very thankful. And they told me that we are very thankful that our church is now free and we can go there. I told, you should not be thankful. I should be sorry that it remained without you people for 1.5 years. So those values we had in our family, and that made a difference.
I guess kind of following on from that, Malala, I mean, how important is your family as a source of not just support, but also inspiration?
So the first thing is that, as my father talked already, there was equality in our family, and my father always treated me equally. And the great thing is that he sent me to school. He gave me the right of education, which no one had. And most of the girls are deprived of education because their parents don't send them to school. So I was lucky, and I'm still very thankful to my parents that they took care of me, and that they brought me up, and they gave me the opportunity to learn. And also my father made me independent, and he gave me the right to make a decision and to take a decision. And that's why today I can disagree with him. I can agree with him if I wish. And and the other thing is that he also told me that you can argue with me as well, and I learned a lot from him. And I also learned that you can also say what is right. It does not mean that your father has said it, it should be right all the time. And he also gave me the opportunity to make a difference between right and wrong, and to share my feelings.
So Malala, we hear so much, of course, about your father, and it's in the book as well and everything. Yes. Would you also like to explain what role does your mother obviously played in your life? And obviously mothers are critical in the development of the child. So how, we hear so much little about your mother.
Well, I'm really sorry about that, because everyone should know about my brave mother and talented mother. Even though she has not studied in a school, or she hasn't get proper education, but still she has wisdom, and she's a very good mother, because when I was a child, she has been taking care of me, and she brought up 3 children. It's a very good job. And I think my father always outside house, running a school and just talking to people, but outside home, but he didn't know who is controlling the house, who is cooking, who is feeding his children, who is buying clothes for his children, who is buying clothes for him as well. So it was my mother. It was my mother. She was cooking, she was doing shopping, she was also controlling the family, and because she knew how to govern that house. And so that's why my mother is great, and she always loves us, and she's great.
And Malala, I guess a lot of the times in the Western media, when people think about the Pashtun regions especially, people think they're quite, people associate them with militancy, with corruption, sometimes with overt kind of terrorism. And people also think that it's a very patriarchal and very male-dominated society. And I think we were all really amazed. For example, when you speak about your mother and you speak about the strength that women actually have in that society, what would you want to say to the Western media about this difference in perception? of how things actually are and how they're described?
The first thing is that usually when people talk about Islam or Pashtuns, then people just directly think about the word terrorism. They might be terrorists. So the fact is that it is true that those terrorists might be Muslims, but it is not true that all Muslims are terrorists. And it does not mean that all Pashtuns are terrorists. I am a Pashtun, I am a Pakistani, and I am a Muslim, and I can say it proudly. Because in Pashtun culture, we are famous for hospitality. We love each other, we love everyone, and we take care of each other. We have strong societies, we have strong family bonds. Because here we see that there are so many divorce cases, families get apart from each other, but in our society there are big families in one house, like grandfather, grandmother, then their sons, and then their sons, and then their sons, and the whole family lives together, and we have very strong bonds. And also, we also see that our women are really brave. Pashtun women are very brave, because my mother is an example. And we also talk about love, about harmony, but there are few people who have misused the name of Islam and Pashtunwali.
Yeah, so
I will add to it. We had a famous couplet in Pashto, which I will refer to, and it tells that Yar me Hindu za Musalmanim, the Yar the Para Dharmasal Jaru Kauma. It means that my friend is a Hindu and I am a Muslim, and to honor my Hindu friend, I sweep in the temple, I sweep in the mandir. So such kind of harmony is found in Pakistan, and such kind of harmony is found in Pashtun society. These are the policies of the states, these are the policies of the international powers, the regional powers. They have polluted the values and the positive values of hospitality. For example, when we were, I will come to it, I should be very short. The positive values are being misused by the global powers and by the regional powers. For example, we are very hospitable, but that doesn't mean that all Uzbek and Tajik and Chechen and Bosnian, they should come and they should hide in our country, and they should wage a militancy against our country or any other country. We are brave, but that doesn't mean that we should be the fuel of war in that region or anywhere else in the world. So our positive values have been misused and exploited by some West interests.
sure. So Malala, obviously what we hear from yourself and from Mr. Yousafzai as well, it completes a very different picture to this stereotypical image of a Pakistani or Pashtun or a Muslim for that matter. And of course you stood up, and despite all the calamities, all the hardships, you showed tremendous compassion even after the terrible incident which took place. My question to you is, what inspired you what introduced you? What were the factors which shaped your thinking and that, everything that you believed in? How did it happen? Because you've lived all your life in Pakistan, you are very young, you have actually lived all your life in a small town in Pakistan. And so where did you learn all this from?
Well, I'm 16, I'm getting old. But the other thing is that when I was in Swat, before the terrorism spread in Swat, I was going to school and I had a very heavy bag and with a lot of books. I was doing my homework on time, and I also wanted to get first position in the class, get high marks, but I could not understand why it is important. But then later on, when I saw terrorists and some people, and they were speaking against education, and especially against the education of girls, I realized at that time that this education, these books, these pens, are something really important. And these terrorists are afraid of education, and especially they are afraid of the power of women. They don't want women to be empowered, and they don't want educated women. And that's why I realized that this book is very important, this is precious. And you should learn, you should study, and you should go to school. And after that, when I realized, and when the girls of Swat realized it, we started speaking for our rights. And when we say we started speaking about our rights, but how we how did we? At that time, media needed someone to speak the truth. And when it is hard, when your life is at risk, you cannot speak. Because if anyone spoke, on the next day his body could be found in the green chalk being slaughtered. And at that time, we said now it is the great opportunity for us that we tell people all over the world that this is happening in Swat. Swat, the beauty of Swat, people forgot about that. Swat was no more a paradise. People were afraid of coming to Swat because they thought it is just an area of war. And at that time, we spoke about our rights through media, in newspapers, in TV channels, that education is our basic right and we want peace in Swat. And after that, there was a military operation, and due to the struggle of the people of Swat, the terrorism finished and the terrorists went back to other areas. And Swat is now a very peaceful place. But still, girls' education was really important for me. And I continue to speak for girls' education. And even now, I'm continuing it because I think that it is my duty and my responsibility to speak for the rights of girls and to speak for women's rights.
And you say, so you're 16 and you're getting old. I think that makes everyone in this room who's definitely older than you feel a lot worse about ourselves. But yeah, I mean, I'm growing grey hair slowly. But what's next for you? I mean, you're 16, you've done so much. What is next?
So I was going back to Swat, and at that time I got some awards, and I was in Pakistan at that time. And there's a way called Malakhand, and there you can find oranges, and they are really tasty. So we went out of the car and to buy some oranges, and there I saw a girl. And that girl was also selling oranges. And she was very small, a little girl, and it was at her age to be at school. But I saw a nail in her hand. It was not a pen, just a nail. And she had a page of some advertisement, and she was just trying to write something. And when I saw her, and when I saw her love of education, that how much she loves to write and to read, and I asked her, like, do you go to school? She said no. And at that time I felt like, this girl must go to school. This is not an age to sell oranges. This is the age and this is the stage that she should know where these oranges come from, to know about biology, about physics, about chemistry, to know about humanity and about her rights. And at that time I felt that now I should continue my struggle and I should work for the education of girls. So now I think that I should still remember that girl and work for her education. And that is why we have set up Malala Fund, and we are working through that. But my other dream is to become a politician. And I know when I become a politician, half of you would not support me. No, I'm sure. And you become the member of one party, then the rest are against you. But the thing is that I want to be a politician, and I want to do politics because politics is the best way to help the whole country. I wanted to become a doctor before, when I was in Swat, and then I thought that a doctor can only treat patients and he can only work in a society that's very limited. I want to help my whole country. I want to work for women's empowerment. I want to work for education. I want to provide basic facilities to the people of Pakistan, because there's poverty in our country as well. People are deprived of their basic rights. They don't have the basic facilities. There's load shedding. You might not know about load shedding, but after 1 hour, there's no electricity, and then in the whole 24 hours, you get electricity for 8 hours or for 9 hours, and people are deprived there are no basic facilities like clean water. So that's why when I think about all these issues, I think like, yes, I must be a politician and I must help the people of Swat and the people of Pakistan, especially the whole country, to give them the basic facilities and to give women their basic and equal rights.
I guess as you just mentioned, you're early 16, and as Maria mentioned, you've already achieved a lot, and people are expecting great things from you, understandably. How do you cope with kind of that level of pressure and expectations?
Yeah, I can understand, and yes, people should have great expectations from me because I have already got a lot of awards and more than I deserve, and I think that there is still a big award for which I will struggle till my death, and that is the award to see peace in every corner of the world, and that is the award to see every child going to school, and especially girls, with their equal rights and with their basic rights and treated with equality and justice.
So Malala, I mean, how can everyone, you just mentioned Malala Fund.
Yes.
And of course, many of us in the hall, until you actually become politician at least, would like to support you. How can everyone get involved in this quest towards your objectives that you just mentioned?
So when I was in Swat, I wanted to make a foundation, Malala Fund, and I said like I want to help these children, and especially girls who are suffering from domestic child labor. And whenever I used to go to school, I could see girls, and those girls were not going to school, but rather those girls were going to another rich people's houses, and they were cooking, and some girls were washing dishes, and some were taking care of children. It was not the time to go and work. They are very young girls, and I just wanted them to go to school, and I wanted to see them with pens and books in their hands and wearing the school uniform. And now, because I was short and we came here, so we again worked on Malala Fund, and we started our first project in Swat. And the first project was to educate 40 girls, and those girls were deprived of, education, and they were suffering from domestic child labor. And now when I talk to them on Skype, and now when I see them, I just feel the real happiness, the happiness that I can never see in the world. And the happiness is just, I can never describe it, because some people ask me like, do you get happy when you get this award and that award, when you meet this person and that person? I don't have that feeling of happiness, and which I have when I see those girls with books in their hands and learning, and when I see them at school. And I want to continue this struggle for education, and now through Malala Fund, we have three main objectives. The first one is to work on the ground and to reach to the deprived people, because if you talk about education, if you don't look at the marginalized people, those people will be marginalized forever. So you must reach those people as well, and it's really important. And also to go to the areas which are suffering the most, areas like Afghanistan and Pakistan and India, and now in Syria. It's an emergency. Those children need us because they are homeless and as well as deprived of education. And other than that, the second objective is to do advocacy, and also to go and ask the responsible people, because it's their duty, it's the duty of the government to provide the basic facilities to the citizens of their country. And also we want to recognize those girls who speak up for their rights but are not yet known. So giving them award and a platform to speak and raise their voice globally. And I hope that you would support me, all of us in Malala Fund, and you would not only support the Malala Fund, but rather you would support those girls and those children who are deprived of education.
I guess I know a lot of you have questions, so I'm going to move on to a final question from the panel. You've obviously come here to talk at, you've talked a lot about education, and you're here at one of the top kind of educational institutions in the world. What message do you have to us Oxford students and other students of top universities in the role we have to play in increasing the access to education in underprivileged areas in all parts of the world?
When I think about what everyone should do, we can do a lot. Sometimes we just we think that, what can I do? I can't do anything. But the thing is that, yes, everyone can play his or her role. The first thing is that in Swat, I only spoke, and it had an impact. Now here it's time that you also speak for the countries and for the children who are deprived of education. But there's one thing that I have noticed. As we can see that United Kingdom is quite far away from the suffering countries, and here people think that we are safe, but it's not the reality. We must keep it in mind that the terrorism is spreading, and now we all should speak for peace and for equality, and also we should think about those marginalized people as well. And we should make it our duty and responsibility that we will work for education. And your every simple act can play a role in it. And if you just give £1 to a foundation, it means you are giving it to their children, to those children who cannot go to school. And if you write an article in a newspaper, and when you speak about women's rights, it means you're playing a great role. If there is someone in your street and he is poor and he cannot afford to give education to his child, if you help that person, it's also that you're playing your role. And other than that, we also need some other things, and that is love, that is equality, that is justice, and that is harmony. And we should all treat each other with equality, and we need harmony in our society. So I think everyone can play a role.